2026. Let's talk about that. So I cannot believe it is 2026. I'm not one to, really have New Year's resolutions or anything like that. I kind of feel like it sets you up for failure because very few times do I hear that anybody completed their resolution. But I do set some goals. And as y'all know, I usually set a word or words to live by each year and even a verse. So in 2023, my word for the year was peace. And we've talked about that, and you can go back and look at one of my other videos about peace. And one of the reasons I chose peace is because my divorce was final at the end of 2023. I filed in 2022. So in all of 23, I focused on just feeling complete peace. Peace that I had made the right decision, peace that I was continued to make the right decisions throughout 2023. And I've always been one that believes that if it's meant to be, you will feel total peace about it. And if it's not meant to be, then you will feel something in your stomach or heart or something that just lets you know that you're not on the right path. Or something will jump out in front of you. You'll hit a stumbling block that prevents you from moving forward. And I believe those are God winks or God telling you, hold on, I've got bigger or better plans for you. So peace, that was my word in 2023. In 2024, I added a few words, and I continued to pray for peace, but I also added safety, steadiness, and strength because my divorce was final at this point in 2024, and I just wanted to learn how to live on my own, how to be strong, how to not necessarily survive. And I say live on my own. I depend on God for everything, but I just felt like I needed to be steady, consistent, yet grow in knowledge and grow in strength. And so those were my words, along with safety. Safety had to do with, again, peace. I just needed to know that I could make decisions, good decisions. I felt like I had been making bad decisions for years, and I just prayed for peace and for God to keep me safe and for God to keep my family safe and as I grow. And so those were my words, and I lived by them. And then that got me to 2025. And I loved these words. These were some of my favorites because I finally found myself. And I wanted to continue to live with integrity, continue to grow my character, and continue to grow in wisdom. Just being true to myself and true to God, true to my family. Sorry about that sunlight. It's getting me. And I also had trust in there. Trust that I was continuing to move on the right path, along with peace. And each year, although I added new words, I added them onto the words in the past so that I could keep growing. So this year, I love these words too. And I'm going to keep adding to trust, trusting my decisions, trusting for peace, strength, steadfastness, or steadiness. But along those lines, I am going to pray for boldness. I want to be bold in my beliefs. Courage. I want to be courageous in the decisions that I make. And courageous in my beliefs. Again, strength. That goes along with being bold and courageous, and strength. And strength is built on wisdom and knowledge and faith and trust in the Lord. And so I want to build upon those things as well. And the verse, there's many verses to this, but what I'm going to base all of this on is the armor of God. And so we'll talk about several things, or I'll talk about several things on Positivity this year about the armor of God, and how if we put on the full armor of God, we will be bold in our faith. We will be courageous. We will have strength and knowledge and wisdom, and we will be armored with everything that God gives us to stand up to our beliefs, and we will be full of wisdom and knowledge so that we can answer the questions when someone asks us about our faith. Because again, I'm a firm believer that we're here on earth to build each other up, love one another, be kind, and share God's light. We want to make heaven crowded, to use the quote from Turning Point USA and the Kirks. We want to make heaven crowded so that when Jesus comes and we all go up to heaven, those believers, we want it to be crowded. So that's what I'm going to live by this year and focus on, or at least for the first part of the year. I may change things up in the middle of the year or after we build upon those words, find verses that support those words, and after we study the full armor of God. So stay tuned. 2026 is going to be a good one, and we're going to be bold, strong, courageous, and we're going to trust in Him for all those things. So stay positive and stay tuned.